It's Goldman Diaries. I used to think betrayal would come crashing down like a thunderstorm, loud, chaotic, unmistakable. But in reality, it arrived like a change in the weather. Quiet, gradual, invisible until you were already soaked to the bone. After our son was born, something shifted in Eric. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't unfaithful, not that I knew yet. But he stopped seeing me. He still came home every night. Still kissed me on the forehead. Still said I love you. But his eyes, they weren't there. At first, I blamed exhaustion. Sleepless nights. The stress of becoming parents. I told myself it would pass. That our love was just under the surface, waiting for rest and routine to bring it back. But it didn't come back. He withdrew like a tide, inch by inch, until I was standing alone on a beach I didn't recognize. And the worst part? I still reached for him. Lily had just gone through a breakup around then. My younger sister, 22. Messy. Emotional. She showed up with takeout, claiming she was helping me survive motherhood. She held the baby, cleaned up, played the hero, and I was grateful. But then I noticed something. Eric, who barely spoke 2 full sentences to me some days, laughed when she walked in. He smiled differently. His posture changed. He joked. He leaned in. He was present. With her. At first, I was just relieved he wasn't numb anymore. But then I started to feel something else. Like I was the one visiting. Like I was interrupting their moment. It wasn't anything obvious. Nothing I could point to. Just that cold pull in my chest. That quiet voice inside whispering, "Watch them." Lily didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she didn't care. She sat on the edge of our couch like it belonged to her. She wore my hoodie once. Said it was just laying around. Eric didn't say a word. Just looked at her like he used to look at me, before diapers and dishes and all the noise. And then came the night that changed everything. Lily was in the kitchen. Eric leaned on the counter next to her. I walked in with the baby monitor in my hand and stopped. He looked at her. Not like a brother-in-law. Not like a friend. His eyes held something else. Something I hadn't seen directed at me in months. Desire. She didn't look away. Neither did he. And in that moment, I knew something had started. Maybe not the full betrayal. Not yet. But a door had opened. And I was standing on the wrong side of it. A week later, I saw him brush a strand of her hair from her face. And that's when fear replaced doubt. They say when something's wrong, your body knows it before your mind does. And my body had started flinching before my heart caught up. Lily kept coming over. Almost daily now. Always with an excuse. She forgot her charger. Brought cookies. Missed the baby. At first, I made more coffee. I welcomed her in. But after a while, her presence felt less like support and more like invasion. Eric never complained. In fact, when I was too tired to make dinner, she'd suddenly appear with takeout. And I'd catch them laughing about something I wasn't part of. Some inside joke, a shared look, a pause that lasted half a beat too long. Once, I walked in and saw them sitting on the living room floor, playing with the baby. Eric's hand brushed against hers when they both reached for the same toy. She giggled. And he smiled. A soft, unguarded smile I hadn't seen in months. He didn't even glance at me. Like I wasn't there. The air in the room felt too warm. Too close. I remember swallowing hard. Feeling suddenly overdressed in my own home. But I still told myself it was nothing. Until that night. It was late. I'd just put the baby to sleep after an exhausting evening. I came out of the nursery and paused in the hallway. They were in the kitchen again. Lily stood near the fridge. Eric was close. Too close. Then he reached out. He brushed a strand of her hair from her face. Slow. Familiar. Not awkward. Not rushed. Her lips parted. She didn't step back. She smiled. That soft, secret smile people give when they think no one's watching. But I was watching. Eric turned and saw me. And he didn't flinch. Didn't jerk his hand away. Didn't look guilty. He just smiled, like nothing had happened. "Hey," he said casually. "You need anything?" I couldn't speak. My hands felt cold. Lily looked down, suddenly busy checking her phone. But I saw the way her cheeks flushed. The way her eyes didn't meet mine. That wasn't a sisterly moment. And it damn sure wasn't a brother's hand on her hair. I went upstairs that night and stared at the ceiling in the dark. My baby sleeping peacefully beside me. And I made myself a quiet promise. I wouldn't accuse. I wouldn't confront. Not yet. I'd watch. I'd wait. Because doubt had turned to fear. And fear was about to become certainty. Her phone lit up for a second. I saw the photo. His hand. Her leg. Our couch. And that's when the lie broke wide open. It happened on a Wednesday. Lily was sprawled on the couch, scrolling through her phone like usual. Eric had just stepped out to grab something from the car. The baby was napping. The house was quiet. I came into the living room with laundry in my hands when her screen lit up. And I saw it. A photo. Just a flash. Less than 2 seconds. But enough. Her face in a close-up selfie, grinning at the camera. And below, unmistakably, a hand resting on her thigh. His wedding band catching the light. My husband's hand. On my sister. I stopped walking. My heart didn't race. It just stopped. Like my body needed time to process what my eyes had already seen. She noticed me a beat too late. Turned her phone face down, then forced a smile. Just going through old pics, she said too casually. That one was from forever ago. I nodded slowly. But I knew that couch. I knew that sunlight streaming through our living room window. That wasn't an old photo. That was from today. Or maybe yesterday. The point was, it wasn't ancient history. And it wasn't innocent. Later that night, I lay next to Eric in bed, pretending to scroll through my own phone, while he messaged someone with a grin tugging at the corners of his mouth. I didn't ask who. I didn't have to. But what really tore something in me wasn't even the photo. It was the memory. That same day, when that picture was probably taken, I had been sick, feverish, shivering, curled up in bed with the baby pressed against me like a second heartbeat. I'd texted both of them, asking if one of them could bring tea, or maybe help with dinner. Lily said she was busy. Eric said he was tied up with errands. And they spent that day together, in my house, while I held our child alone. I think part of me still wanted to believe it was some kind of misunderstanding, that maybe I was losing it. That postpartum had cracked my perspective. But no, that photo shattered the lie I'd been holding on to. They weren't just getting close. They weren't just crossing lines. They were hiding something. And hiding meant guilt. I stopped hoping for answers and started digging for proof. And what I found made me wish I'd never looked. I stopped crying. That was the first change. No more tears. No more begging the universe to be wrong. I wasn't hoping for answers anymore. I was hunting them. It started small, quiet, invisible. I remembered Eric once backing up his phone to the cloud. So I checked, logged into the shared account we hadn't used in months. What I found wasn't everything, but it was enough to open the door. Deleted messages. Recovered. Not all of them, but fragments. Enough to see the nicknames. The timestamps. Some messages were short, stupid, flirty. Can't stop thinking about you. I missed last night. I wish I could hold you without sneaking. But one line made my hands go cold. Do you think she suspects anything? She. Me. Lily had sent that. I could see her name. Her profile photo. Her words. And Eric replied. She's tired. Always tired. She won't see it. He wasn't just cheating. He was betting on my exhaustion. Counting on it to protect their secret. I kept going. I opened Lily's iPad while she was in the shower one day. We had the same passcode. She never thought I'd check. Inside was everything. Photos, unsent drafts, even journal entries. She wrote about him. I can't believe this is happening. I know it's wrong, but I feel alive when I'm with him. That line played on repeat in my head for days. Alive. While I was surviving. Bleeding for this family. They were sneaking around my body, my life, my home. Chasing thrills and calling it love. I printed the messages. Saved the photos to an external drive. Not for revenge. For clarity. Because gaslighting thrives in silence. And I refuse to be anyone's fool again. The final blow? The date of their first message. 6 months before our baby was born. While I was swollen, scared, walking through each day with aching feet and a hopeful heart. They were texting about how much they missed each other's touch. I sat at the kitchen table with the monitor beside me, my baby breathing softly, and I felt the ground shift under me. This wasn't an affair that just happened. This was a decision, a pattern, a betrayal with roots that grew in the dark while I was busy building our future. And it was spreading. I told my mother, and she told me it was in my head. That was the day I realized I wasn't just losing a husband. I was losing my family too. I thought telling someone would help. After everything I'd uncovered, the messages, the photos, the timeline, I needed a voice outside my own head. I needed to hear someone say, "You're not crazy. This happened, and it's not your fault." So I called my mother. We weren't overly close, but she had always been the calm one. Collected, composed, the type who fixed problems with a firm tone and a warm casserole. Surely she'd know what to say. Surely she'd be outraged. She listened quietly as I told her everything. How Eric had changed. How Lily kept showing up like a savior. How I found the messages, the photos, the dates. How they started sleeping together while I was still carrying our son. There was a long pause. Then her voice came through, soft but clipped. "Rachel, I think you're tired." I blinked. "Tired? Honey, you just had a baby. Your hormones are all over the place. Maybe you misread something." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I have screenshots, Mom. Actual proof. I'm not saying you're lying. Just, maybe you're being sensitive. You've always had a strong imagination." It hit me like a slap I didn't see coming. She wasn't hearing me. She was filtering everything through her fear. Fear of conflict. Fear of family tension. Fear of what it meant if both her daughters weren't who she thought they were. "You think I'm imagining this?" I asked, my voice shaking. "I think you need rest. And maybe to talk to someone. A therapist, maybe." Not once did she say Eric's name. Not once did she mention Lily. And in that moment, I realized something far more painful than betrayal. I was alone, not just in my marriage, but in my family. Because even with the truth laid bare, people will choose comfort over confrontation. They'll rewrite reality to keep the peace, even if it breaks you in the process. I hung up the phone without saying goodbye. Just stared out the window at the yard where I used to imagine birthday parties and barbecues and long summers filled with laughter. None of that was real now. Not the house, not the husband, not the sister, and not the mother who asked me to stay silent for the sake of appearances. I stopped looking for comfort and started building my exit. Quietly, strategically, while he laughed in the living room, I was packing my freedom one file at a time. I didn't scream, didn't pack a bag in the middle of the night, didn't throw a single dish or demand a single answer. I just began. Because when the people you love tear your world apart, rage feels like a luxury. But strategy? That's survival. So I stopped looking for comfort. Stopped hoping Eric would wake up one morning and realize what he'd destroyed. Instead, I opened a new bank account in my maiden name. Transferred small amounts, unnoticeable at first. I canceled subscriptions only I used. Switched passwords. Forwarded key documents to a secure email. And I smiled. Every time I watched him laugh on the couch with Lily in the other room. Every time I heard her humming in my kitchen. I smiled. Because they didn't know. They didn't know I was already gone. I found a small rental outside Madison, near Green Lake. Bright. Quiet. Clean. 2 bedrooms and a sunlit kitchen that didn't echo with lies. I paid 3 months up front in cash. Signed the lease under initials only. The woman who showed me the place asked if I was starting over. I said yes. I copied every text. Backed up every photo. Labeled files. Evidence, emotional infidelity. Proof of timeline. Custody prep. I wasn't planning revenge. I was building freedom. Quietly. Brick by brick. One night, as Eric tossed a beer can into the recycling bin and chuckled at something Lily texted him, I looked at the clock. 2 weeks left. That's all. Just 2 more weeks. I still cooked dinner. Still folded his laundry. Still kissed our son goodnight and laid him in the crib like nothing was wrong. Because that's what you do when you're escaping a house on fire. You don't yell. You don't run. You move quietly through the smoke. You make sure every step is steady. And when the time comes, you walk out the front door without ever looking back. I said I was leaving. He laughed. Then he begged. Then he threatened. And I just laid the evidence on the table and walked away. I waited until the baby was asleep. The house was quiet. Just the hum of the fridge and the low murmur of the TV in the living room. Eric was half watching a movie, feet up, his phone never far from his hand. Lily wasn't there that night, which felt right. I walked in holding a folder. Just a thin manila file, but it felt heavier than anything I'd ever carried. Can we talk? I asked. He looked up, smirked. Now you want to talk? I didn't answer. I sat across from him and placed the folder on the coffee table. He didn't reach for it, just stared. I'm leaving, I said quietly. Tomorrow. He laughed. A short, confused sound. What are you talking about? I found everything. The texts, the photos, the timeline. His face changed. Not with guilt, at first, but with calculation. Like he was deciding which version of the lie to use. You're overreacting, he said. This was nothing. A mistake. I shook my head. It wasn't one mistake. It was a year of choices. He stood up suddenly, voice rising. You can't just take our son and disappear. That's not how this works. I didn't flinch. I just slid the folder toward him. There are copies in my lawyer's office, I said. This isn't a threat. It's a courtesy. His anger shifted to panic. We can fix this. We have a child, Rachel. You really want to break up a family because of something stupid? I stood up, picked up my keys. You broke it. I'm just acknowledging the wreckage. He stepped in front of me. Please, don't do this. But his voice didn't carry power anymore. I walked past him like he wasn't even there. I packed only what mattered. A week's worth of baby clothes. My documents. My strength. The next morning, as the sun came up over the front porch we'd once painted together, I loaded the last box into the car. Eric stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes hollow. He didn't say a word, and I didn't offer one. I buckled my son into the back seat, rolled down the window, met Eric's eyes. You don't get to touch this part of my life anymore, I said. Then I drove away. No yelling, no goodbye, just silence. And for the first time in months, it felt like peace. 6 months later, I saw them in a grocery store, together, laughing, and I felt nothing, just air where the pain used to be. 6 months passed. Time didn't heal everything, but it created space. And in that space, I built something new. The house I rented in Green Lake was small but warm. It had creaky floors, an old fireplace, and a kitchen that always smelled like coffee. My son learned to walk on that uneven hardwood. I learned to breathe again. No more second-guessing myself. No more waiting for footsteps in the hallway or checking a phone that wasn't mine. No more pretending. I started sleeping through the night. Not because I wasn't sad, but because the sadness no longer owned me. Some mornings were harder than others. Grief comes in quiet waves, like muscle memory. But every time I saw my son smile, his little hands reaching for mine, I remembered why I left. I didn't miss Eric. I missed who I thought he was. There's a difference. And then one ordinary afternoon, I saw them. I was in the grocery store, halfway through my list, thinking about dinner, when I turned the corner and froze. There they were, Eric and Lily, standing by the deli counter, laughing at something on his phone. She leaned into him like she belonged there. He tucked her hair behind her ear like it was nothing, like we never existed. I didn't panic, didn't turn around. I just stood there for a moment, letting it hit. And then, nothing. No rage, no jealousy, just a strange stillness in my chest. I realized, right then, that the version of me who would have shattered at this moment. She no longer lived here. I picked up my cart, walked right past them. Neither of them noticed. Or maybe they did, but neither said a word. Later, in the car, my son giggled in the back seat. I looked at him through the mirror and smiled. That little boy didn't need chaos. He needed peace. And so did I. They could keep their quiet romance built on lies and low moments. I had something better. Freedom. Not the loud kind. The kind you feel when you wake up and nothing aches. Not your body. Not your mind. Not your heart. Just stillness. And for the first time, it felt like enough. My mother called me out of nowhere. Lily and Eric were over, and Lily wanted to talk. But I didn't know if I had anything left to say. The call came on a Thursday. I almost didn't answer. The name Mom, lighting up my phone, still gave me that familiar knot in my chest. But I picked up. Her voice was softer than usual. Tentative. Like she was stepping onto ice that might crack. Rachel. I thought you should know. Lily and Eric, they broke up. I didn't say anything. There wasn't much to say. She continued, filling the silence. She's not doing well. Says she made a mistake. She wants to talk to you. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it felt like deja vu. Like we were back at the beginning, with my mother asking me to be kind to the person who tore my life in half. "She's your sister," Mom said, "and she's sorry." I leaned against the wall, staring out at the trees swaying behind my rental. Golden leaves falling in slow motion. Everything changes. Even pain. "Okay," I said finally. One conversation. We agreed on neutral ground, Madison City Park. No kids. No dramatics. The day of the meeting, I felt nothing. No anger. No anticipation. Just stillness. A kind of emotional silence that was louder than grief. Lily was already there when I arrived. She looked different. Thinner. Quieter. Like someone had turned the brightness down on her. When she saw me, her face crumpled. Tears welled up fast, and she stepped forward like she might hug me. I didn't move. She stopped short. Hands shaking. Voice breaking. I messed everything up. I nodded. Not out of forgiveness, but recognition. "I thought he loved me," she said. "But he didn't. Not really. Not like you." I didn't respond. Some wounds don't need words. They just need time and distance. She looked up at me, desperate. "Can we ever be okay again?" I sat down on the bench behind me, stared out at the water. "You got what you wanted," I said quietly. "But trust doesn't come back. Not after that." She sat too, cried softly. I didn't cry with her. I wasn't here for closure. I already had it. I was here because sometimes the strongest thing you can say is, "I'm done," and mean it. She hugged me. I let her. But when I walked away, I knew it was the last time. I wasn't angry anymore. Just free. She hugged me. I didn't move at first. Just stood there, arms at my sides, while her body folded into mine like a child looking for shelter. Her sobs were quiet, but real. And maybe once I would have cried too. But not now. I let her hold me for a few seconds. Long enough for her to believe we were still connected. Then I stepped back. She looked up, searching my face for something: grace, forgiveness, maybe even hope. But I didn't offer anything. Not because I hated her. Because I was done giving pieces of myself to people who never valued them. I looked out at the lake. A breeze picked up, scattering leaves across the pavement. And just like that, I knew it was the last time I'd ever see her this close. The last time I'd hear her say my name and feel something. The last time her tears would mean anything to me. I wasn't bitter. Bitterness is what keeps people tethered to pain. I wasn't tethered to anything anymore. Not to the house we lived in. Not to the man who shared my bed while sharing secrets with someone else. Not even to the version of myself who believed love was supposed to hurt sometimes. That woman was gone. I'd mourned her, buried her, and in her place was someone quieter, stronger, and completely unwilling to stay broken. "I hope you find peace," I said to Lily. And I meant it. Because peace isn't something anyone can hand you. It's something you build slowly, painfully, out of shattered expectations and hard choices. She didn't follow me when I walked away. I think, deep down, she knew she couldn't. And I didn't turn around. Because the truth is, closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision. A decision to no longer be defined by what hurt you. A decision to live without waiting for an apology. A decision to finally, fully, let go. And as I stepped into the sunlight, back toward my car, back toward my child, and my quiet little house in Green Lake, I felt it. That rare, powerful thing. Not revenge. Not victory. Freedom. And I didn't just walk away. I disappeared from the version of my life that used to revolve around other people's choices. And I never looked back. If someone breaks you, you don't have to stay broken. You just have to walk. Quietly. Strongly. And never return. Hi everyone. Thank you for listening till the end. This story hits differently. Because it wasn't just about a marriage, it was about a sister. Someone who knew your secrets and held your husband's hand. Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you want more untold stories, make sure to subscribe.